Ashley Scher. I'm the founder and CEO, and welcome to your first RPYT yoga class. So please take a comfortable seated position. And as you may know, we are a yoga school that specializes in yoga teacher training for incarcerated women. And by you taking this yoga teacher training course, you are not only investing in your own self, but you're also making it possible for an incarcerated pregnant woman to get not only a yoga physical exercise, but she will also earn an RPYT degree while incarcerated. And that means that should she be released, she has one more tool in her tool belt, this vocational degree, so that she can earn a livelihood that respects her mind, body, and soul. So thank you for being a part of our mission today. And now we turn our focus to you, as our inmates cannot join live on YouTube. As I tell my children, there's no Wi-Fi in prison, so you better be good. And that's enough of a deterrent for them. So normally, why am I talking about the inmate program? Well, I'm talking about it because one thing that I love about yoga is that you don't need anything but yourself. And that means you don't need props, you don't need fancy equipment. We're not trying to sell you anything here. We're just trying to remind you of all the goodness you have within you and to draw upon your own inner strength. That said, so in general, ShareLove.Fund does not teach with props in general. However, having been through 3 pregnancies myself, and I gained 80 pounds in one of my pregnancies and had gestational diabetes in 2 of them, and was really uncomfortable. I was working as an attorney, very long days, sometimes 15-hour days. My law firm didn't want me to. They were so kind. Everyone on the team made every exception for me to go home earlier, but I really love my work and I love my clients, and I wanted to do my best. So anyway, so with all that said, whether you're working or you're having twins, or you have gestational diabetes, or you're feeling a little large, props can really be a game changer. So I sort of make an exception, and I brought some props to show you that you just might want to use as you are pregnant to start to feel better. So I'm putting them to the side, and I'm not setting up my mat with them, because I also don't want anyone to feel like, oh shoot, I can't take the class, I don't have props. So anyway, standard props. We have a belt, and we can use that to sort of enhance stretches. An eye pillow. I really love this. This is a lavender scent. In the first trimester of pregnancy, sometimes we're queasy or nauseous. I found the lavender blend calming, but this also fragrances can also be upsetting during pregnancy. So you'll find your own balance. A blanket is sort of one of my go-to tools, and then a bolster. I like this bolster, it's firm. However, do you need to go to the store and buy a bolster? No, you can use pillows, and sometimes the old pillows that are really beat down and not firm at all, some people find those really comfortable because they are the most malleable. So you'll find what works for you. So I just wanted to show you that we have these props. I'm going to put them back on the side because you don't need it. Everything you need is already within you. And there's a certain anxiety that sometimes marketers put on people, saying, oh, well, if you just have this or if you just have that, then you'll be complete. And the message I want to drive today and throughout the course is you're already complete. You are entitled to be happy, and there are support systems out there that can help direct you to your sort of inner feelings, to help you filter what is necessary and what is not necessary, and help you simplify and help you just feel really good in the skin you're in, even if that skin is changing. I did forget about blocks, so I just want to show that as a prop. And also we have our trusty ball, which, you know, sometimes that can feel good. And the thing about a ball is it's forgiving. So sort of as your body changes, this is also something that could be comfortable in pregnancy, because it's sort of is flexible when it's not too filled up, and it sort of gets into all those nooks and crannies. So I'm just gonna grab the blocks. Most of you are already RYT 200, so you know what blocks are, but for completeness, 1 second. I'm back. So for completeness, these are blocks. I personally like the cork blocks because they're a natural material. Most people don't. They prefer the foam blocks because they're lighter, and the foam blocks are also less expensive. I'm not selling any of this equipment because my purpose is not sales and marketing. We're a 501c3 charity. Our purpose is empowerment for at-risk women and youth, and especially pregnant women, and all women. And as women, we're often raised to be people pleasers, and we're so willing to buy the next thing or do the next thing. And this is really an opportunity to slow down and think about what you really need, and not what's going to make someone else money, but what's actually going to make your life a little bit easier and a lot more fulfilling. So with that, we'll start in a comfortable seated position. So you can sit in easy seat, and if it is comfortable to you, you can grab a block or a bolster or some books, then sit on a book. You don't need fancy equipment. You can also sit on your feet like this, if that helps. You can sit with nothing. I'm gonna come to the side. The reason why I like to sort of prop up on a block and a bolster for our prenatal clients, especially as you get bigger, is sometimes it helps you shift a little forward, and it gives that belly someplace to go. I'm also going to show you one thing you can do with the belt. Now, nothing herein shall be construed as medical advice. I am not a doctor. It's not a reasonable assumption that I know your medical needs. We're on YouTube. I can't see you. So please, please use your own best judgment. Be safe. Consult with a doctor if there's any questions. This is not intended for high-risk pregnancy. This is not intended to provide an adjustment for any specific medical condition. And as a parent later, you will need to use your own judgment and make a lot of decisions. And those good decisions can start now with your own health. You can decide what is wise for you to engage in and what isn't, and set limits and boundaries. This yoga mat is a physical boundary, and in life, often we say yes when we really think, oh man, I can't do that, I should say no. And just like the yoga mat is a physical boundary and it's a limit, and it tells us no, this mat ends here, we can also verbally say no and decline invitations, and not try to be a superstar in a yoga class and say, no, that hurts. So I'm gonna go into child's pose now, or I'm gonna stop, or maybe I'm gonna watch a different video. And that's empowerment. You are a decider. That's what I like to remind our inmates. You're a decider. You are the executive CEO of you, and you can decide where to set those boundaries, and that's empowering. So if it serves you, so basically, so with that caveat, I just wanted to encourage people to use their own judgment so they don't put pressure on the belly or hurt themselves. Sometimes under the belly, or even like pushing down on the legs like this, sometimes that feels good, like to give support for under the belly. Definitely don't squeeze the belly. It's already cramped in there. You don't want to lay on your stomach. You don't want to twist. You don't want to, in the second and third trimester, you don't want to do anything to further constrict that space. But sometimes like under, more towards like the pelvis, and pushing down on the legs, not up, pushing down. Sometimes it feels, it helps you feel like you're not falling. And especially with a second or third or fourth or more pregnancy where it's not so tight anymore and you really get much lower, much faster, sometimes just pushing down and putting some weight on the thighs with a belt sort of helps you feel uplifted. You know, it's a little bit strange. Yoga is about opposites. So we're always saying like, put this hand to touch this wall and this hand to touch that wall. You know, you obviously can't touch both, one or the other, but we work in opposites. So I guess it follows suit that pushing down with this belt may give you a sensation of actually feeling uplifted and supported. So why am I talking so much about sitting down? Well, it's the start of our first class, and we're going to start every class in a comfortable seated position. And you may already be a seasoned yoga teacher, and you may have had your RYT 200 and 300 for 10 years. And maybe you already even have your RPYT, but you wanted to do it again while you were pregnant. The thing is that pregnancy is a change on our body, and no matter how comfortable we were in our bodies in yoga before we were pregnant, sometimes for some people, it just feels completely alien, and you're relearning things, like relearning as if it would be for someone to relearn to walk again. So some of these basic poses, we're sort of learning them for the first time in our new bodies. The other reason why we're going to talk about this pose, the seated poses, is because it's really great to start a yoga class with proper alignment. Oh, I wanted to mention, even if you've been pregnant before, often each pregnancy is just so different. So you're sort of trying a technique that worked before. It may not work this time. So if you choose to sit on a block, what you can play around with is shifting your hips forward or back. I'm going to take this off so you can see the back alignment a little bit better. And thank you, Alo Yoga, for my matching outfit. We've been so lucky to have so much support for our charity. Okay, so when you lean forward a little bit, this might give you some relief with the belly. You might, sometimes we're afraid of falling, and by leaning forward, you're telling your body, okay, so fall, so what's gonna happen? Then you can lean back, and this is sort of doing this is very similar to almost doing a chair cat-cow. And by leaning forward and back, we're not only warming up our spine, but we're also finding that equilibrium point. We often say, oh, I should have better posture. Oh, put your shoulders back, sit up straight. Well, putting my shoulders back and sitting up straight here, that's actually not anatomically correct. That is putting a lot of stress on my shoulders, and that can come up to my neck. And for those of you who are already pregnant, you don't need a sore neck on top of everything else going on. So it's important to remember that our back naturally curves in a little bit, and then it naturally curves out a little bit. So by going back and forth, sort of like a seated cat-cow, we can find that natural position. When we find that natural position, our body just stacks up naturally. And suddenly, we are balanced and we're stacked. And we don't need to force our shoulders to do anything. If you want a more open feeling, or if you feel like maybe you type all day, or you're at a computer, or you have an office job, and you kind of want to counteract that, you can lift your palms up and your chin up. Let's just take a breath like this. So whether you have a block, or a bunch of laundry you're sitting on, or nothing at all and you're just on the mat, let's just take a moment with our palms up. Sort of, you found your equilibrium point, you feel stacked, your chin is up, you can have your eyes closed or soft gaze. And let's just take a breath together. You can put your fingers together if that serves you, the first and third. And let's just take a few breaths. Now, if you noticed, I'm not counting out how many seconds the inhale should be or the exhale, because it is really important, as all of you are going to get this prenatal teaching degree, that we learn how to be safe. We do not want to restrict breath to the fetus, and we don't really know what everybody's lung capacity is. So we are getting a degree that says we're yoga teachers for prenatal people. We're not getting medical degrees here. So nothing in this course is going to tell you, go act like a doctor. And so one of the things we're never going to do is to tell a prenatal person when they should breathe in and when they should breathe out. We do not want to interfere with their breath. Now we can say things like, try to take in a breath and in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And we can say things like, let's take, and you can do this with me, let's take 3 breaths together and try to inhale a little deeper and exhale a little longer with each breath. By telling someone to sequence into expanding their breath, but not giving them a definitive quantity of time for each breath, you are allowing them to explore the limits of their body in a safe way that will naturally not overdo it, because they're not trying to do something counterintuitive to their body just to keep up, or just to feel like, oh yeah, as good of a yoga person as that person. You know, there's a lot going on in the belly when people are pregnant. A lot of things are cramped, and this is not the yoga Olympics. Like, this is about feeling good. There's no prize for the person who holds the longest breath, but sometimes in our society, we're just so used to having to prove ourselves that people will come to yoga class trying to prove themselves and may not be as safe as they should be to their body. So we can encourage a breath sequence with gradation and degradation, but we are not going to set definitive times for breathing. So let's take 5 breaths together, and we're going to go in the mouth and out the nose. Please do it at your own pace. Try to not look, try to look forward so your hips are headlights forward, your eyes are laser beams forward. You know, maybe like you're driving, we'll lean forward and back, and then just relax in that natural position where your spine is stacked. Your shoulders may be a little bit forward, and you will, you can raise your palms up, chin up a little bit, a soft gaze, or your eyes closed. And as we breathe, about 5 times, you don't need to count. We can just breathe together. You can think about breathing a little deeper and making your exhale a little slower and longer with each breath to the point of comfort. And the purpose of this is not to have the longest inhale or exhale. Actually, the reason why we're doing this exercise, the task we're seeking to accomplish with this exercise, is not about any benefit from having a long or short breath. The task we have at hand is to help us feel relaxed, that we have control over the most important part of our body, our breath, pranayama, our life force, the breath of life. We need a few essential things to live, and one of them is breath. And there's a lot of things happening in pregnancy, and it's nice to know that it doesn't matter if you're homeless or in prison or in a child custody battle or laid off or in Ukraine in a war. No one can stop you from controlling your own breath. You own your breath. You can be in line at the grocery store and remind yourself of the power and control you have over your breath. And so we're doing this exercise of gradually increasing the length of our breath as a reminder that you can control your breath. And if nothing else goes right for you one day, at least you've got your breath. So you can just control that up, down, right side, left side, upside down. You can make your breath long or short, and you can just do what you want, and nobody can tell you otherwise because it's your breath. And having that ownership is a starting point, and then we can expand to a sense of control on other things that we can control, and a sense of acceptance for the things out of our control. So with that, that was a lot of talking. So if you were breathing and stretching out your breath, then I think you're pretty good on that. You don't need to stretch it out longer and longer because that would be too long. So now let's just take a few breaths naturally. If you are in your 3rd trimester, a safety tip is don't do a forceful breath. You want to be as gentle on your body as possible. So you may keep your block if you want, if that's comfortable, or as I said earlier, a stack of laundry or whatever you have going for you. And let's just take a comfortable seated position. Many of you are pregnant, and bathroom breaks are a part of pregnancy. So please feel free. Obviously, you're at home or trying to do this on a lunch break at work or whatnot. So please go use the bathroom. You can pause me because I'm on YouTube, or you can just join after. Nothing is going to be super critical. This is not, the purpose of this is to de-stress and empower and fulfill the requirements of the RYT degree. And the purpose of this is not to make you feel like you have to prove yourself or make you feel like you have one more thing on your to-do list. So, the bottom line, this course will go a little bit slowly, and that is because we know people are pregnant, they need to go to the bathroom, and it's just annoying for every interruption to feel like you missed something. So this is a video where if you need to tend to your child, you can slip out and slip in, and it's sort of like a soap opera season. You may have missed a big chunk, but when you sit right back down, it seems like you are just at the place that you left off. So with that, bathroom breaks are a big part of pregnancy. Hydration is key. So I brought this glass of water, and I'm going to take a sip. And please take a sip as you need. My yoga teacher, one of my yoga teachers who is a little bit of a purist, she said, really don't drink during yoga because that's considered disruptive to the flow. But, and so as yoga teachers, you may engage in a practice where you are more strict. What we teach at ShareLove.Fund is really yoga for all. We are interested in the accessibility of yoga, the fact that all you need is your breath, that you don't need equipment, that it shouldn't be expensive. As you know, these videos are free on YouTube, and our marketing department said, oh, that's a terrible idea. And our other instructors said, you can't give this away like candy. And I just don't think that yoga should be for the Greenwich tennis moms. I think yoga should be for everyone. We do incur costs to issue degrees, and we do have liabilities and things like this. And so we do need to charge for the actual degree. But if somebody's uncomfortable and they can benefit from one of our classes, then great. We're making them anyway for our degree people. So if there's no sweat off our back. So I hope that those of you who have paid for this degree don't mind that you're also paying for someone who really wants to learn but might not be able to have the degree. You're also paying for pregnant teenagers who are part of our clientele who, it's embarrassing to ask your parents to pay for this or that related to your pregnancy. And it's nice to have resources to find comfort within the discomfort and the anxiety that surrounds them. And it's on our channel page, but it's just like a huge health risk too for the young teenagers. So So thank you for being a part of this, and if you did pay, thank you for sharing this video and accepting that it is public and accepting that someone who didn't pay, who wants to learn, can learn, and they won't get the certificate, but they will get the knowledge. And we do offer free programming for incarcerated women as well, so they will get the certificate should they do the requirements. So all that said, I want to tell you a little bit about the RPYT. So as you will see in our Teachable Online Classroom, this is an 85-hour course. 5 hours are general background, 5 hours are philosophy, 10 hours are teaching methodology. And as I discussed briefly, the teaching methodology is really geared to incarcerated women, and that's where our heart is, because as hard as it is to be pregnant, it's awful to be pregnant and incarcerated, and knowing your baby will be taken away from you eventually. Fortunately, at Bedford Hills, in our location, we're in New York, women are allowed to keep their baby for up to a year, but that's super difficult. So we have an approach that doesn't tell you need this fancy equipment. We have an approach that is slow and repetitive, because I want our inmates to pass, and I don't want them to have to make flashcards, which they're not even allowed to have necessarily. So by being repetitive, the information sinks in, and they make great yoga teachers. And you can have a criminal record and be a content producer, a content provider, and we can provide them a job. If we have money, if we are able to sell our courses, then the profits can go back and be invested into second chances. So it's a really beautiful thing you're part of. This, as I say, ShareLove.Fund, this is so much more than yoga. It's just beautiful you're a part of it. So that's, our teaching methodology in a nutshell. If you want a fancy course, I'm sorry, but this is a course that you can do anywhere with anything, and it's a course where we just want what's best for you. We want it to be meaningful for you. So if you want guidance to make it more meaningful, ask us, and we'd love to personalize it for you. 25 hours are techniques. We divide that up into 5 hours of meditation, and we have 5 hours of breath work, pranayama, and 15 hours of asana. Sorry, I have to use my cheat sheet here. And this is on the agenda in Teachable. And then 10 hours of anatomy, prenatal anatomy. So this is interesting, and I'm interested in your comments, so please feel free to comment on YouTube. I think it's best for everybody if you comment after the video and then I respond to it after. I certainly am not going to shortchange anybody's time by commenting on my device while I'm teaching, but also would encourage you all to not shortchange your moment of relaxation by typing up comments. But one comment that I'm interested in feedback is I learned so much about my body, a woman's body, through my RPYT yoga teacher training, anatomy and physiology. And when I was making this course on Teachable, I was a little bit shy and horrified. I felt like, oh my gosh, this is like embarrassing stuff to talk about. And I spoke to the female medical doctors on our board of directors. We're very fortunate. on our board of directors to have two incredibly bright leaders in science and medicine. Dr. Erica Billick is MD, PhD from Cornell, Weill, and just elite, educated, has so much to offer, and it's so rare to have both a PhD and an MD, which is a medical degree. And Dr. Sharona Benheim, she is a neurosurgeon, and there are so few women who are actually neurosurgeons, and my children and I are fascinated, like, what does a brain look like and all this stuff. But we're so lucky to have medical doctors on our board. And I said to them, I didn't even know my body, and I'm like learning about it for the first time in this detail in my RPYT yoga teacher training. And they said, without forming any opinions, because I don't want to, put words in their mouth, but basically we had a general discussion about how some people may say that women's health is underserved. And some people may say, and this is not their opinions or my opinions, this is just like, there are arguments on both sides. At ShareLove.Fund, also, sorry to jump around, but at ShareLove.Fund, we do not advocate brainwashing, we advocate critical thinking. We have a high school leaders program, and we provide free programming to junior teacher trainees, and also we have a Lotus Leader program and Lifetime Lotus Leader program where significant donors, we will also train their kids. It's just, we want to sort of run the gamut of the children we serve, because all kids need help and support. It's not really their fault if they come from a good, wealthy family or a socioeconomically disadvantaged family. So we try to be open to all the children can take. But so we advocate critical thinking. So I'm not trying to brainwash, but basically there are opinions on both sides that say that research in terms of women's health is also underserved, that there's a lot less funding for medical research on women's health issues. I will tell you, when I was pregnant, and still to this day, I'm losing hair like crazy. I know it looks like I have big hair. I am half Armenian. I had the biggest hair and long and just so huge. I would joke that I was Slash from Guns N' Roses. I probably had more hair than Slash. Where did all my hair go? I don't know, but it seems like there's a lot more medical research on male pattern baldness than female pattern baldness. So I love that this RPYT digs deep into female anatomy. It's a little awkward. I'm not going to really teach it on video. You have the PDFs in Teachable. If you have questions, we have an incredible anatomy teacher with over 25 years experience, Peter Icavello. He's our lead trainer. I defer specific anatomy questions to him. He is a grandpa and the father of a daughter, and so he's witnessed pregnancy very closely, but he is also just an anatomy genius. He is also a certified massage therapist and just so brilliant in it. So when we get into the anatomy, I have a specialist teach that, and I think it's really great for us to dig in and learn it because it's our bodies, and I just think that the way society is, that we're not, that there's a lot more women can learn about their own bodies. That's just my opinion. Maybe you agree or disagree, but that's my opinion. So anatomy, we have about 10 hours of coursework, and we have an elective of chair yoga. Partner yoga is super cute for prenatal, so we touch upon that in the yoga course manual, but I don't teach it in the videos because there's a lot of people who don't have partners who are pregnant, and that's rough. So if you have a partner, good for you, and you and your partner can have fun, and you can do a search on YouTube and find fun prenatal partner videos. We live in a day and age where there's so much content available, but I just don't like to present things that not everyone can have. I get even a little reluctant, as I said, about presenting props, and I certainly don't want to present partners. We are born alone, we die alone. It is okay to take the journey alone, and it's interesting, and this is just my opinion, so please feel free to comment, agree, disagree. But I found in my personal life that the moment I get comfortable with being alone, then I'm suddenly not alone, and positive people gravitate towards me. So I feel that whether or not you are alone in this journey, it is really positive to feel comfortable being alone, because then if you have a relationship, you have it out of want, because it's benefiting you, and not out of fear or necessity. And if you don't have a relationship, then you still can feel very comfortable and fulfilled. And often we feel that, oh, if it wasn't for this person, I would have nothing, or I owe everything to this person. But humans are really resilient, and humans are incredibly adaptive. And it's interesting, but if that person wasn't there, you would have found another way. Obviously, we can't go back to see how that would play out, but people don't really drop dead from abandonment, you know? I mean, unless you're 90 years old and have physical limitations or something like that, but you adapt, and doors open in unexpected ways. So really being comfortable with being alone is empowerment, because you're not depending on any other person, and being self-sufficient is empowering. When we are self-sufficient, and if you're sitting with one leg up and the other leg up, I encourage you to switch positions. As if you're pregnant, it's important to kind of move around so you feel comfortable. You can even lay on your back too. Even, you know, have your knees well, creating space for the baby, but you can even, you know, lean like this, or you can put, if we're going to use a prop, you can roll a blanket or put a pillow, you know, to support you if that feels better. You can have your legs open, cactus arms, goddess pose. You know, there's different options, but please feel comfortable in a comfortable seated position while we get to know each other. But it's just really important to you know, not be afraid to be alone, because sometimes, especially when we're going to have a baby, we doubt our own abilities. Can we be a nurturer if it's the first time? Or maybe it's not. Maybe you have other kids and you think, I can't have I can't manage as it is. How can I manage on my own with another child? No one said it will be easy, and I have no way of knowing what your specific circumstances are, and I'm not a fortune teller, and yoga does not solve every problem. People do yoga and they have cancer and they have hardship, and there's no magic solution, but there can be a deep, deep sense of faith and trust that you are doing the best you can. And when you really believe that it will be okay, and it's okay to be alone, and you're doing the best you can, when you really take that to heart, then that's a sense of empowerment. And a lot of the fear and anxiety that seems to rise with pregnancy can be put in its place, can be put within a boundary, like the boundary of the mat, because you're just not going to play into it. So that was a lot of information about why we don't do partner yoga. And the last section is 10 hours. Yoga Alliance allots 10 hours to the practicum exam. So these are hours of watching the video, critiquing it, doing your own videos, practicing to do your own videos, receiving feedback for your own videos. And the idea is that the best way to learn how to be a teacher is to actually teach yoga. We will ask each of the degree candidates to submit 3 videos 10 minutes in length. We have found that longer than 10 minutes is a real upload download problem, and we want to have you spend your time doing meaningful things, practicing yoga, sleeping, working with your family, taking a walk, enjoying nature. And we don't want you to spend so much time with a crashed computer, a slow upload, and all those annoying things that happen with technology. So when we say 3 10-minute videos, we really mean that, and not 1 30-minute video, because also on our end, I want to be teaching, I want to be responding to your comments. I don't want to be spending a half a day uploading and downloading and arguing with my kids about if there's too many devices on the Wi-Fi. So we really appreciate you doing that. And that's sort of like your trophy. And you will always have those 3 teaching videos. I want to share that when I became a certified yoga teacher, I promised the people certifying me that I would never teach. I said, just certify me, I need it just to check the box. Like, I just need a sense of accomplishment. I was turning 40, and I said, you know, I'm turning 40, I just need something, like running a marathon, but I promise I'll never teach. And my certifying instructors, because I had different ones for each certification, they always said, no. One of them told me, you can't grow an oak tree faster by wishing it. You said, even if you throw fertilizer on it and water it and talk to it and breathe on it and get special lamps on it. This was my esteemed instructor, Justin Tang, who is amazing, and he is also the guru in children's yoga and autistic yoga and special needs yoga, and he's just such a wealth of knowledge for anyone practicing. So I highly recommend him to a friend. But anyway, he told me you can't rush an oak tree. So, so he made me work, and it took time, and but I got my degree. But the point of this story is that when I decided that I wanted to certify incarcerated women during COVID, and I founded this charity to do that, because female recidivism increased 700% since 1980. There is a lot of increased incarceration for women during COVID, a lot of increased domestic violence, a lot of problems, so I wanted to do something. Well, the moment I wanted to do something, I had the confidence, and prisons and jail at that time were closed to the public because of COVID. There was no visitors, and I especially wanted to help these women because their children couldn't visit them. and most of them have children. And I wasn't afraid to make a video to send to them because I had to make videos for my yoga teacher training. So I feel like you're getting this degree, you're going to be a teacher. We live in a digital time. People are Zooming. We've got to get comfortable with making a video. That's what it means to be a teacher today. And I don't think it's asking too much because it's a degree saying you're a yoga teacher. And I think that to be a yoga teacher, you need to know how to make a 10-minute video of teaching yoga. I don't think you need to have a complicated test because I'm pretty sure you can just ask, and I don't want to say it because I don't want the technology to respond, but I'm pretty sure you can just ask SIRI or ask ALEXA for whatever question you need the answer to. I don't think you need to memorize these things in this day and age. I think you need to understand the concepts. And I think you need to understand what you know and what you don't know. And I think you need to understand what is safe generally and what raises a flag and what you should seek help on or something like that for safety. I think that the trick this day and age where it's so easy to access information, the trick is, or the skill set is in having great judgment and identifying issue spotting. Because once you issue spot, then you can seek the information you need. I don't think in this day and age, we need to be encyclopedias. So with that, I will sort of conclude the whole background. But so that's why your practicum is actually teaching. And I will add, just for completeness, the reason why we don't have any tests and quizzes, and we may have added some recently, but they're optional and not required as part of the degree. The reason is that being in a cage, I'm not advocating people to be in prison or not in prison, but I'm just saying the fact that like when you are in a cage, that is anxiety provoking. And I just didn't think it helps any, and my interest is in rehabilitation to turn wards of the state into tax-paying citizens. We serve Rikers Island Prison. They have a $1.2 billion operating budget. We don't get paid. We send our staff as a volunteer. We provide yoga mats for their yoga anger management program. But for this population we serve, they're already so anxious because they're living in confinement, and they're living in confinement in a post-COVID era. And so I just didn't think they needed tests and quizzes. I felt that they needed to learn the material and that they have time on their hands. And the method that we created, the SHARE method, is a method based on repetition of actual practice. And it's also an oral method because not everybody knows how to read so well. But I believe that you can make a fine content provider and have a job to feed your baby when it's born by making yoga videos, even if you're not the best reader. So I think that there is a job and a place for everyone. I think that this world needs all kinds of people, and the trick is to know yourself and then, and try to find how to find meaning within your skill set. So, but that's it. I advocate critical thinking, so I'm not trying to brainwash you on my view. But so all in all, we have an 85-hour prenatal course, and that was a lot of welcome talk, but we are together for 85 hours. So what can we do? At least it's not in person. You can fast forward or cook dinner while you watch this. So it's 85 hours. And that's the general breakdown. This breakdown is provided to us by Yoga Alliance. They have specific standards. Why do we bother being accredited by Yoga Alliance? Because when you graduate, we want your degree to mean something globally. We are a global online yoga school. We have graduates from Philippines, Ukraine, Spain, all throughout the US, Florida, California, New York, and not everyone everywhere is going to know ShareLove.Fund, but anybody who's knowledgeable in yoga knows Yoga Alliance, and that means that you can take your certificate and have more earning power if you are an accredited, if you are a yoga teacher. You know, it makes you more desirable when you are seeking a job or seeking a pay raise. And it also means something that the degree you earn, it's not just something that I said is, oh, you deserve it. It's something that has vigilant standards. We went through an arduous 8-month back and forth document revision process with Yoga Alliance because I did not want any tests and quizzes for our inmates, and I didn't want any busy work for our busy students. I wanted to provide value, and I wanted them to graduate just being able to teach a prenatal class, because that's what the degree is, and I think that's what the focus should be. And it took a lot of back and forth, but Yoga Alliance approved our prenatal manual, and I was so touched because the accreditor at Yoga Alliance, she told me, and I hope she doesn't mind me sharing, but she told me, she said, I've worked at Yoga Alliance for a long time, and my daughter just had a baby, and this is the best RPYT manual I've ever seen. She particularly liked our supplemental documents, and she said, there's a supplemental package. She said, can I please, she said, like, you can say no, I'm not supposed to ask this, but she said, can I please keep your supplemental packet and yoga manual and give it to my daughter who just had a baby, because I would love for her to have it. And that meant so much to me because I held my ground. I was strong on the mat, strong in life. I really believed in what I was doing. I wanted to serve the inmates, and as tempting as it was, I was not going to tell Yoga Alliance that I was going to teach one course, but actually do something else. I wanted Yoga Alliance to approve the share method and understand it, and we modified it a lot to meet their needs. But at the end of the day, to have our prenatal manual be so outstanding that our accreditor at Yoga Alliance wants to use it for her family to better serve her unborn granddaughter, that just meant so much to me. So I feel really confident in this course. I think that you are going to get a lot of benefit from it. I also think that the format being digital is great because the videos are labeled and numbered. You are empowered. You can shop the buffet of our coursework, pull out what is meaningful to you. What is good for one person may be less inspiring for another, and you are the decider, and you can have the opportunity to take what you want from this course, the level that you dive into it. It's sort of, you know, what you give, you get. And at the end of the day, you're going to get a degree, you're going to move, you're going to learn about your body and feel great in the skin you're in, and feel empowered as both a degree holder, and also feel empowered that you gain comfort within the discomfort of your body. Whether or not you're pregnant, we all can use a little more comfort. We all can try to find space in spaces that we have no space and just feel really good. So with that, I want to go on and move a little bit, because every class I really try to move because that is so important. So I'm going to, here, I think we'll be fine. So let's take a sip of water. I also want to mention that nutrients is really important, and we were so nice to have mealmerez.com supply smoothies, and sometimes when you're pregnant, it's just nice to have smoothies to make sure you're nourished, and you know, it's an easy snack. So that's on the that is on the East Coast. Okay, so let's just do about a 30-minute flow together, and we will take a deep breath in and exhale out. Inhale and exhale down to plank. We'll drop to our knees and we'll go down to child's pose. Walking our hands to one side and just taking some breaths here. As you breathe, try to sort of drop your elbows down. And you can walk over to the other side with your hands. You can lean a hip to one side for a little deeper of a stretch, or then to another. To create more space, you can have your legs wide and go down. So that would be more like, you know, this, as opposed to this for child's pose might be a little restricting. Another area of block is really helpful. When you're pregnant, you can have the legs wide, and you can have the legs wide and then use your block for where your head is. So this is a way that, you know, it's just creating like a little more space for the baby. So I'll do this to the side. So for this, you can have your arms forward or your arms back. And we can just take a few breaths here. You can shift one hip to one side and one hip to another. Safety is most important, and so we're confined by what is safe, but this is not an Ashtanga yoga class. This is Hatha yoga, where we just want you to feel good in the skin you're in. We're not yoga purists. How you teach when you have this degree is your decision. We're not advocating one way or another. We are just trying to make this course accessible to everyone. ShareLove.Fund believes in education. We love that we're providing free degrees to incarcerated women, leveling the platform of the educated, or haves and have-nots. And I just personally really love the idea that anyone who wants to learn can, and that you don't need to have money to learn. And so that's why within the confines of safety, we're not going to be too picky on form. And also I find that sometimes when we do non-traditional form, like leaning this hip to this side or leaning this hip to this side, like when we do non-traditional form, that's like where we get these stretches that sometimes we really need. And I love this stretch because you get to expand your rib cage when you're pregnant, and that can feel really good. So we'll come out of child's pose, and let's just take some cat-cows. So I recommend you putting your phone sort of in front of you, so that way you don't have to turn your head to look around. And you can move your neck side to side, drop it down, shake it out, thinking about your navel to the ground. As we said, you don't want to do twists when you're pregnant, but cat-cows are okay. You might want to lean back a little bit, try to see where do you feel your tightness. Is it in the lower back, upper back? Maybe do a circle. And bringing the navel down, maybe widening the hips for balance. Being on all fours when you're pregnant is a way to not fall. And that's important because we want people to feel balanced. I like to feel cozy, so I wear my socks, but this is actually a safety concern for prenatal people because it can be a little more slippery, so I will lead by example and sort of hide that in the corner. But yeah, I definitely recommend if you are pregnant to definitely do yoga barefoot. There are the little fancy socks with the rubber dots, but really I don't like to mess around. So I would say if you're instructing a prenatal yoga class to have people barefoot because it's a safety issue. And we go like this. And you can lean forward and really stretch the hips. Maybe lean to one side or the other. If this feels too much of a stretch for a pregnant person, they can modify, and we'll walk and step up to the top of the mat. Here, we'll take a deep breath in and exhale. Having the feet a little bit wider helps prenatal clients have more balance, and they can kind of play around with that. So maybe this is traditional mountain pose, and this would be a little wider. Inhale and exhale. And trying to tuck the tailbone down and really tighten the midsection. And this also can help with even strengthening the pelvic floor. We can think of mountain pose as rooting our toes into the mat, pulling our thighs outward, and feeling this outward motion. And for balance, which is so important that prenatal women have their balance, we can kind of stretch as we talk. You can think about your toes as hands. And Peter Icavello, our lead yoga instructor, he said, think of a monkey. He said monkeys have incredible balance because they use their feet as hands. And so when I think about that, I think about my toes actually grabbing the mat. And how does that feel? So we'll inhale up and exhale and let it all down. Slight inhale, you can bend your knees, and you could widen your stance a lot so that your stomach, if you have a belly, is in between. And inhale, and we can just gently walk back to plank. It might feel a little funny. Now I'm going to bring a prop so you can stay in plank for a second. And I'm going to put this on so we don't have an outfit incident. So one of the risks of live Anyway, you can use a bolster or a blanket. I recommend that instead of a block, but you can use a block. It's just, maybe a foam block would be a little softer. And you can put it on your thighs. This creates more space in the belly. It creates more space for the belly. If you're not so big, you can even do this to make Sphinx a little bit better. And you can even do frog. And this could actually be quite comfortable. You can also use a ball to help you. And I like the ball and the bolster because it gives resistance, but also it also contorts to the pressure you put on it, so it gets in those nooks and crannies and feels comfortable. And rocking side to side, just like we rock a baby, there is a sort of comfort, like giving yourself a hug and feeling supported. And so what I learned in my own yoga practice, and I thank our lead trainer for telling me this, but he said, your body doesn't know, like when you're rocking like this, my body doesn't know if I'm happy or I'm hugged or I'm teaching a live YouTube on props. All my body knows is, this is nice, I feel good. So basically, at moments when you're scared out of your wits and you feel like nothing can solve anything, you can do a pose that feels so supported and good, and it will just naturally make you feel a little calmer because it sends a message to your brain, oh, this is nice. Just like if you see your best friend and they give you a big hug, like your body doesn't know, like, did you see your best friend and they gave you a big hug, or did you do something that feels really good because you're teaching a class and you have to, you know? So I guess what I'm trying to say is a little bit hard of a concept, and we can come down to, well, this is actually good too. This is downward puppy. We can leave our bolster if you want. So downward puppy, it's like downward dog, but you're on your knees and you're trying to kind of get your armpits on the floor, relax your neck. And it looks like child's pose, but child's pose is all the way down. So downward puppy is like how your spine would be for downward dog. But there is this study sort of about the earlier point. There was a study about of people who are depressed. And you can move your neck side to side to stretch it more. And they had depressed people smile. And you can, then come down to child's pose. You can leave the bolster here, or use a block, or put your arms behind you, and you can widen your knees. So anyway, in this study of depressed people, they had the depressed people smile in the mirror, even though they weren't happy. And most reported that they felt a sense of happiness and well-being. And I love the expression, fake it until you make it. Sometimes you don't necessarily need to solve a problem. You just can move, and your body releases a lot of that tension. And while you didn't actually solve the problem, you changed your perspective. And with a new perspective, the problem didn't seem like such a big deal anymore. So I'll give you a silly example of this, but when I had my first baby, who was incredibly colicky and had failure to thrive and this and that, and now he's like perfect, amazing kid. No one's perfect, but like, you know, we feel so blessed. But it was really, really rough and scary in the beginning with the allergies and this and that. But I wanted everything like perfect, so I would get glass milk bottles delivered from the milkman, and they would come in these 1 gallon glass bottles. And then I would put them on our refrigerator shelf, which was glass. And and then we'd get like 4 at a time because we went through milk so much. And I was so afraid that the glass shelf of the refrigerator would crash and fall. So I was, you know, putting them in different refrigerators in the garage, and I was so afraid of it. Anyway, I was not doing yoga at the time, but I'm doing yoga at this time in my life. And the milk gets delivered on Thursdays, and I was thinking about that anecdote, making space in that refrigerator today for tomorrow's milk. And I thought, yeah, so what if the shelf breaks? Like, do I think it's gonna kill me? No, I don't, because it's shorter than me. Did I think at the time it was gonna kill the baby? No, because I don't hold heavy 1 gallon jugs of milk above a baby in like right next to the refrigerator door. Like, I wouldn't have a baby play there. So I thought, what was I afraid of? Yeah, it would be a big mess. It would be spilled milk. So I was afraid of spilled milk. Fine. Full disclosure, it might be broken glass, maybe a cut finger. But I mean, this is not, you know, something to just totally worry about and obsess about. So while yoga isn't magic, and while yoga is not going to pay your bills or finish your annual report for you, yoga can make you feel so darn good about yourself that you either don't feel the need to procrastinate and you can actually get your stuff done, or maybe you can't get it done, but you just don't mind. You just think, okay, great. If I don't do that, then I will deal with the natural consequences of that not happening. So, or that happening. So, you know, in the case of the milk, it's like, well, if the shelf breaks, I will clean it up. That's not something to worry about. And now my son is 14 years old. For 14 years, that shelf is not broken. What a waste of time that was to worry about that. So I really encourage you in this journey to love what matters and separate anticipatory anxiety from immediately pressing issues that need an action. We can open our legs like a straddle, and we can do the spine thing again if you're sitting up, and just feel the hamstring stretch. This is something where it can feel good to have the belt. By having the belt, you can, if it's too much to have both legs open, you can just have one. And by using the belt, you can try to make your spine a little taller. Like, it helps, you know, take the curve out of the spine. You can also bend your leg to help. If you're pregnant, you don't really want your knee in your stomach. You might want it on the side. I'm gonna also go like this. So, you know, I encourage you to, so you can go like this to sort of help your hips tilt forward. Or if you're a little more flexible, like this, and you can use a rope. If you don't have a rope, you don't need it. You can, you know, hold your leg and feel your back straightening. Or if you're a little more flexible, you can, you know, just lean forward or do both on one side. So, you know, pregnancy is time of anxiety. If you are As mothers, we worry. Some mothers say, that's my job. My job is to worry. So maybe we are hardwired this way, but it's not going to give you more energy to spend energy worrying. And worrying, even if what you're worrying about comes to fruition, you're a little bit more depleted because you spend so much time worrying about it in advance. So if it's a problem, like you look at the clock and you realize pickup time is in 15 minutes, and if you don't leave now, you will be late to get your child, and you're a little nervous about traffic, well, then you can do something about it. You can say, excuse me, I need to leave now to pick up my kid. And you can depart and solve that problem. And maybe you'll still be a little late, and maybe you'll be worried as you're driving, but at least you're in the process of solving your problem. But for other worries that you can't do anything about, it's really amazing if you can get to a point where you can accept the situation. Like, I'm amidst a struggle because the company I work for is being acquired. That's a fact. So accepting that there is job uncertainty is a fact. And then you can say, okay, well, what can I do about it? Well, maybe I can prepare myself, like work on my resume, or network. Or if there's nothing you can do about it, then I find helpful in my own life, and people should do what they want because we advocate critical thinking, but I find that trying not to worry about things that are out of your control is helpful, because if the worst case scenario actually happens, you are going to need a whole lot of energy to cope with that. So it would be not serving you to deplete your energy worrying about what might happen, and then on top of it having to deal with it. I will share one more story, and I'm just full of stories today, so I don't know. It's you sort of get what you get. I guess, you know, we're on live, so I'm going with the flow. But for here, and we'll stretch a little more like this. For the bar exam to be a lawyer, it's incredibly hard exam. Half of the people in New York don't pass. I took the New York bar exam, later Connecticut, and also New Jersey. So I am licensed in all those 3 states. And I thought I will be mortified if I fail this exam. And I worked for, my first job was for Kirkland & Ellis, and they are an amazing, brilliant law firm. And they told me that they told our class that nobody in the New York office has ever failed the bar exam. So as a young associate, I thought, oh my gosh, if I fail, not only is that horrible for my own personal career, and not only does it mean that I have to retake the test again, but I will have ruined my beloved law firm's perfect passing streak. And I was so stressed about it. And then I told myself, you know what? Oh, and the results of the test aren't available for months. And when the results are available, they are publicly posted on the website. Everybody can see them. And by the time the results come out, first-year associates are already working at their law firm. And so you would find out the result in the morning, and then you would have to face everyone you work with and clients for the whole rest of the day, being professional and stuff like that. And law school is very competitive. people are sometimes mean, and I won't get into it more, but it's a really competitive environment. And so, so anyway, so that would be a rough crowd to not pass. So anyway, but I told myself, I said, you know what, I have X number of months until I find out the results. I don't remember exactly. It was in 2006, so it was a long time ago. But I said I have X number of months until I get the results. And as far as I know, I passed. So I'm just going to live these months of uncertainty, pretending that I passed, pretending that I got the highest score and I'm awesome. And what did that do for me? That made me liberated to be my best self and a high performer at work. And because when you believe that you're doing great, just like they have studies with school children where you say, you're smart, you're great, and then they start acting smart and acting studious. When I visualize myself as being certain that I prevailed on the bar exam, I walked and worked and spoke with a certain deep-seated confidence. And that made my performance as a first-year associate attorney better. And then on the day the results came, I had already had reviews from work, and I was already appreciated by the partnership and my fellow associates, and also the incredible staff and support staff and administration that work there. So I did pass on my first time, and everybody in my class passed. So we upheld, we were a large incoming class, maybe the largest, and we upheld Kirkland's perfect pass record, and we're really proud of that. But I passed, but if I hadn't passed, I believe that it would have been the best scenario to have not passed. Like, passing is the best, but if one is to not pass, at least I set myself up for success before. By believing that I was going to prevail, I acted like a winner, and I was perceived to be a winner. So if the result said that I failed, I believe, and no one knows, and I'm not putting words in the firm's mouth, and this is not, like with their consent or whatever, but I'm allowed to tell my own story about my own life. But I believe, because I acted like a winner, because I pretended that I was a winner, I believe that if I had passed, it is my guess that, if I had failed, it is my guess that they would have said something like, oh, that can happen to the best of them. Or, don't worry, you still have your job for 2 tries. Or, wow, this year's test must have been so hard because that winner Ashley didn't pass. Like, people would have given me the benefit of the doubt. So it's really interesting, and this really goes into confidence and empowerment and movement, because movement affects how we present ourselves, and how we present ourselves impacts how we are perceived. And while yoga teaches us not to judge, we do live in a competitive environment, especially for those of you who are New Yorkers. And it's just really interesting. If I held my hands like this and I said every day, I'm going to ruin Kirkland's record, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail. Had I failed, I believe, and I could never know for sure, but had I failed, I believe people would have thought, yeah, I expected that from her. Yeah, I knew that was a bad egg because I acted like I was sure it was all going to be good, and because I really said, look, it's equally possible that it could be good or bad, but also if this firm selects people who have never failed, then, you know, they saw something in me, so I actually have a higher percentage of passing. So I thought that it could be the outcome, so I'll just believe that that will be the outcome, because I took to heart a belief that my life would have a positive outcome in this achievement I was trying to obtain. I ended up not wasting energy worrying about a negative outcome that never actually happened. So I know this was a lot of verbiage today, but basically my wish for you today is just allow yourself to be happy, let go, you're great, and try to just not worry. If you have to do something, do it. Be responsible. But when your thoughts are not leading to constructive action, let them go. You are entitled to be happy. Thank you for your time. Namaste.